Hi, friends. Today I invite you to a fascinating conversation across civilizations between the ancient wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and one of the greatest spiritual poems of modern literature, T.S. Eliot's Four Quartets. The Gita gives us timeless spiritual principles, but a modern reader may still ask, what does it feel like to live these teachings in the middle of uncertainty, failure, memory, regret, and suffering? This is where Eliot becomes an extraordinary companion. The Gita gives us the map of the mountain. Eliot describes the inner experience of climbing it. We often think of the passage we did not take: time, memory, and the present. Eliot begins Burnt Norton with his profound meditation. Time present and time past are both perhaps present in time future. Soon he brings us to one of the most haunting images. Footfalls echo in the memory, down the passage which we did not take, towards the door we never opened, into the rose garden. How many of us live with these unopened doors? We imagine, what if I had chosen another career? What if I had made a different decision? What if I had taken another route? Perhaps the most successful version of ourselves exists in our imagination. Sometimes I feel we need a Google Maps for life. After reaching the destination, we want to open the app and ask, "Excuse me, can you show me the route I did not take 20 years ago? And please calculate whether I would have been happier." Unfortunately, life has no alternative route options. Eliot gently reminds us, what might have been is an abstraction, remaining a perpetual possibility only in a world of speculation. Our imaginary life is often much better than our actual life because it never had to face reality. The Gita similarly invites us to return to the present, the only place where right action is possible. Eliot refers to the still point, discovering the timeless in time. Eliot writes, at the still point of the turning world. What a magnificent paradox! The world moves, bodies age, circumstances change, success comes and goes, relationships begin and end. Yet, there is within us a deeper center of awareness that observes these changes. The Bhagavad Gita calls us to discover that dimension of consciousness that is not shaken by the changing events of life. The spiritual journey is not escaping the dance of life, but discovering the still point from which the dance can be witnessed. The Gita stresses upon action without attachment, the courage to keep trying. Krishna tells Arjuna, you have a right to action alone, not to the fruits of action. Simple to understand, extremely difficult to practice. Eliot translates this human struggle beautifully. For us, there is only the trying, the rest is not our business. How often do we postpone action because we want a guarantee of success? But life does not issue certificates in advance. The Gita and Eliot both invite us to a mature form of action. Do your best, offer your effort, release your demand to control the outcome. We all feel the burden of carrying the past. There is a beautiful story of two monks. They came to a river where a woman was unable to cross. One monk carried her across and continued his journey. Hours later, the younger monk was disturbed and said, "We are monks, we are not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The elder monk smiled and replied, "I left her at the river bank several hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" That is the human condition. We carry an insult from 10 years ago, a failure from 20 years ago, a conversation that never happened the way we wanted. In a strange way, we become professional carriers of our own memories. Eliot asks, "But to what purpose? Disturbing the dust on a bowl of rose leaves, I do not know." What is the purpose of endlessly disturbing the dust of old memories? Eliot writes on humility and the dark night of the soul. He says, the only wisdom we can hope to acquire is the wisdom of humility. Humility is endless. And then he offers startling instruction. I said to my soul, "Be still and wait without hope." Even our spiritual ambitions can become another form of ego. The Gita teaches that wisdom begins when the ego's constant demand for control, recognition, and certainty starts becoming quiet. In the dry selvages, Eliot speaks of life as a river and the sea, always moving, always uncertain. He writes, a condition of complete simplicity, costing not less than everything. There is a wonderful Indian story. A monk saw a scorpion drowning in water. He lifted it out, and the scorpion stung him. Someone asked, "Why save it when it keeps stinging you?" The monk replied, "It does not abandon its nature to sting. Why should I abandon my nature to save?" This is Karma Yoga, action guided by one's deeper nature, not by the guarantee of a favorable result. In Little Gidding, written during the darkness of World War II, Eliot reaches a profound insight. The fire and the rose are one. The same fire that destroys can also purify. The Bhagavad Gita speaks of the fire of knowledge that burns ignorance. Suffering, when understood deeply, can become not merely something that happens to us, but something that transforms us. Eliot ends with one of the most beautiful passages in English literature. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. This is also the journey of Arjuna. He does not escape the battlefield. He returns to the same world but with transformed consciousness. And perhaps this is the deepest meeting point between Eliot and the Bhagavad Gita. The world remains the same, the battlefield remains the same, the rose garden remains the same. What changes is the consciousness that sees it. Thank you.